Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Week 7 post-LPC wrap-up. A lot happened this last week. We've seen you a couple times at LPC, and the big thing that we've been talking about is SB 337. And so to wrap up in about 2 minutes everything he's done in the last week, we've brought Executive Director Cameron Dill, who's been our point person on this bill. So Cam, over to you.
Thank you, Justin, and I am ready for Week 8 because that means the session will be over. Not just because of this bill, but because of the hundreds of other bills we're working on. For those who were not at LPC, I'm going to give you a condensed time frame of what's happened in the last week since SB 337 came out. First, we had over 300 people at our unprecedented LPC last Thursday. That was the webinar where we laid out what was in the original version of the bill. We used Slido to get the feedback from members, and we heard loud and clear, Justin, did we ever, that people were very concerned about that bill as drafted. We, in turn, relayed that information to the governor's office and to the bill sponsors, and they acknowledged our concerns, and we said, we're a hard no as is. That was Thursday. Then they came back on Friday and said, well, what if we did it this way? And they came back on Saturday and said, well, what if we do it this way? And so ultimately, that resulted in a substitute bill that dropped yesterday. It feels like a week ago now, but dropped on Sunday. And the bill was substituted this morning. So now the first sub has a key provision that is different from the original. And the key provision in the first sub is that the city has to provide local consent. So now it is more of a partnership rather than a preemption. And that was the centerpiece of the concern that our members raised at LPC last week. That was one piece, but there were other pieces too. Basically what the bill does is it creates a new state authority that now in the first substitute works with the city in order to seek out generational projects. And then in addition to that, it also creates a coordinating council that is trying to devise and align the strategic objectives for the state of Utah and economic development strategy. As part of that coordinating council, the league would have a seat. That's another big difference from the original bill. So those are the two big differences, and then there are a lot of technical differences on how local governments in the state would work together on this tool. At LPC today, we spent over an hour discussing, almost an hour and a half, and discussing the ins and outs of the bill. And ultimately, the members voted to be position pending, which is different from our position of opposed from last week, but position pending, and then delegate to the league officers, led by Mayor Walker, the Mayor of Draper, the league president, along with you and me as league staff, to continue the dialogue about this bill. SB 337 has to pass the Senate by tomorrow night. There are going to be significant discussions in the next 24 hours, and I'm not sure where it will land yet, but I will say the governor's office, the speaker, and the president have all been very receptive to the points that we've made this morning. Mayor Walker, Seth Perrins on behalf of the City Management Association, the city manager of Spanish Fork, and I met with Governor Cox himself, as well as the bill sponsors to talk through the bill. So I think the bill is in a much better place now than it was last week, and there's still more work to do.
Okay. Perfect. There are other bills out there, two that we want to bring up that are going to be on the House and Senate likely tomorrow. One in the Senate, Brady Brammer's tough bill, already passed from the second to third reading calendar today. We expect that one to be up for a vote tomorrow. And we're opposed to that bill because of the exemption for religious organizations. In the House, Representative Karen Peterson has her tough bill. We also expect that to come up for a vote tomorrow morning. And what we expect is that there will also be a religious exemption put into her bill, which is going to put us in a position of opposed to that language. So watch for an action alert for both tough bills. Both of them are likely to come up tomorrow morning, and given where they're both headed, we're likely to be opposed on both of those. So watch for the action alert. We're going to be asking you to reach out to senators and reps in opposition to those bills. Now, a lot of other bills are out there. There's a lot more action to come on the floor. Tomorrow's our last day for committee, so watch the nightly emails, watch for action alerts. We only have a few days left, but they're going to be a packed few days.
Keep up the good work.